Greetings, my name is JC.
And I'm Ian.
And this is the Gamer's Gaiden. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the games of summer. There's been online releases for what's kind of coming out instead of E3 happening, since it's kind of been canceled due to global events. And IGN and other companies like Sony, Microsoft, and game companies themselves are sort of releasing trailers to kind of subsidize our need and want for information on new releases that are coming out, especially with the new consoles. And these are our hot takes on some of the ones that have been released.
Yeah, it's been really interesting kind of to see this sort of happen. I mean, I for sure heard talks about something happening in the absence of E3.
Yeah.
And even at that, I mean, as far as like the event goes, like this is what we want from it anyways. All we want is the news and the new trailers and updates on games coming and systems.
Yeah, and people have been saying for a few years now that, like, what's really the point of these large conventions? Because it used to just be just the, toy companies and stuff like that, like Walmarts and stuff like that went to these conventions like early 90s, and then it was also the press who were included, and now the fans can go and stuff like that. And it's just kind of become more and more hyperbolic almost, and giving us just information that we could just receive online through trailers. And like a lot of the times we were getting the trailers a couple days before they released at E3 anyway. So
exactly, like there's no point now to have these journalists shuffled basically from like Hall B over to Hall F for appointments and interviews and that. Like we can get that all done now. So it's been really cool to see all of this stuff still drop and get all of the information that we want, get all of the excitement. And on that note, like we had a couple that we were kind of stoked about individually, but there was a few really big ones that we couldn't not talk about. First of which being Horizon Forbidden West.
Yeah, I didn't really play Horizon Zero Dawn very much. I might have played it for about an hour. I haven't really gotten to the game. But I do plan on playing it, and I know that it's a really popular game out there. And yeah, it's just exciting that they're coming out with another
iteration
of it. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm super stoked to see this, and especially to take a different approach with it. You know, to see I was really excited about the trailer because that was one thing we did talk about, where some trailers you're just like, I have no idea. This one really kind of lays stuff out to you. It really gives you an idea of the setting. It's like you're on the West Coast. You've got a lot of the I guess similar kind of things that you would expect to see out there. You've got the ocean. It does show you some like water stuff. You've also got a few different enemies that are a little bit more aquatic-based that you didn't have in the first one.
Yeah, it looks like a different world, basically, or continent, so to speak, and the different environments kind of look exciting, especially from seeing other Let's Players and gameplay footage of the first game. This definitely looks like a totally new area of sort of gameplay to explore, which is kind of always exciting. That
I'm super excited to be able to jump into this and actually explore. I mean, the character of Aloy, I think probably one of the better female characters in video games. I'm stoked to be able to jump back into this. And it looks beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, I just hope that the game is playable without having played the first one, because if this looks as exciting as it does, with more gameplay footage and more information being released in the coming months and stuff like that, I hope that I can maybe just jump into the second one instead of actually having to play the first one and then the second one, because to be honest with you, sometimes that just for easability, like, be getting a PlayStation 5 and maybe this will be the game that I get with it or something like that early along in its access. And it should be pretty fun and pretty cool.
But there was another really big one too. This one you're a little bit more excited for than I am.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so that obviously is Resident Evil 8, which is totally based off of the RE engine, which they used for 7. And I'm super excited about this, not only for the new iteration of Resident Evil, a series that I've always liked, but potential having ability to play it on like the new VR headset that they're going to be upgrading and stuff like that for the PlayStation 5, and what this game is going to like entail. I feel that they took the right step forward with Resident Evil 7 in the franchise, though I do like the classic style in its own right. This is still very enjoyable type of gameplay for me, and I'm just super excited about this game that I hope it doesn't get delayed or come out like 4 years from now because of different issues and stuff like that, you know, sometimes happen with these large games and stuff like that. And it seems like their primary focus at Capcom right now, so I doubt that'll happen. But yeah, it looks super exciting. The first person mode was a little give or take with me at the beginning of the game for the first like few hours, but once I really got used to it, then I was totally on board. So yeah, all they have to do now is make this multiplayer, and then you can kind of connect with your friend online or something like that, and they like mix the like good aspect of 5 with good aspects of 7, and that'd be an awesome step forward as well. But yeah, Resident Evil 8, I'm super excited for this, so hopefully we'll get more news sooner than later.
Yeah, and they kind of brought back the same like title, because this is it's technically Resident Evil Village.
Yes, but it's like
which has the V.
Yeah, like here, that's what the logo sort of looks like. It's got the 8 in there, which is pretty clever. I thought that was really clever anyway.
And it's the same thing that they did with 7.
Yeah,
where it was just Resident Evil with the yeah.
Yeah,
so that seems to kind of be their jam at this point.
Yeah,
it looks like we're gonna get remakes every other year of previous games, and we'll get a new version in the franchise in the off year. And honestly, if that's something that they want to keep doing, we're gonna run out of content sooner than later.
Now, by the time they remake, they remake 7, then they'll be able to go back and then like
start working over again.
And
honestly, I mean, not to get like too into the weeds on this, but I really do hope, because I don't think that we'll get a remake of 4. I think them remaking 4 at this point might be a little bit of a mistake, but it would be really cool if they remade Code Veronica as like the next kind of iteration.
Yeah.
I mean, I think chronologically that's what should come out next, and I would really love to see that actually happen. So I'm curious to see kind of what the future holds for the Resident Evil franchise, but 8 looks like it's going to be a little bit more tonally what we expect. From Resident Evil, from 7, and still within that same first-person mode. So yeah, I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, and on your comment to them remaking the other games, I'm also hoping that they don't just go down the numeric numbers, because there are a lot of core Resident Evils, like core numbered Resident Evils is what I mean by that. Like, a lot of them are really good, and I know a lot of Resident Evil fans are just fans of the core series and they don't bother with the side ones. Like, they didn't try Revelations, but they really liked, the style of like Resident Evil 2, and they never bothered trying like 0 and stuff like that. And sure, they're not necessarily as great. Like, they're 7s instead of like 8s and 9s, but they're still worth playing. So
yeah, 7's still great. Like, it's just not amazing.
Yeah,
that's or even like some of the classics, like the Resident Evil Gaiden.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll
partially where we got our name from, but the Game Boy Color classic.
Yep. Yeah. Maybe they'll remake that, but I doubt it. But we'll see. But yeah, those are the two games that are sort of the big blockbuster games that we're super interested in. But we've got a huge list of games that we're going to go back and forth on. And let's get into that list of just some games that we're personally interested in. And we'll talk about that.
So I was watching through most of these trailers, and I saw this one, and I immediately was like, this is very much a JC game.
Yeah.
To the point where I'm like, you want to check this one out because I think it's going to be something that you'll dig.
Yeah, you watched some of the trailers first, and I watched them like a day and a half later because I was sort of busy with some things. But yeah, this was one of the links that you sent me for sure, and I was like, okay, yeah, no, I'm definitely on board with this. So the game is Solasta, the Crown of the Magister, and it's basically a D&D 5 5.1 apparently rules. I don't know what 0.1 means. Maybe it just means that they're using like Xanathar's handbook or something. But there hasn't really been any 5th edition rule set role-playing games, and it kind of looks like a hybrid between gauntlet style turn-based like action RPG game where you can play with a bunch of different characters and everything, and you'll be able to build your party, build your characters, and go through this adventure. I'm assuming it's probably not going to be overly long, like maybe 10 or 15 hours. That's total speculation on my part. But I'm super excited to play a 5e rule set D&D game because, to be honest with you, most of them are 2nd edition or they are 3rd edition. And recently there's been like influenced isometric games with their own rule systems, and then there's been the recent Kingmaker Pathfinder game, which is pretty cool. But to actually play with a 5e rule set and see how they interpret it for play with a video game will be really cool. And there's actually a demo out now, and if you're interested, then go ahead and download it. It's on Steam. It's available for consumption if you want to try that out, and it's something that looks really cool that I'm looking forward to. And Ian, what's the first game that you're interested in?
So I saw this and I was not super excited at first. I thought, like, when I saw the images, I was like, maybe it's a little cliche, but I heard the voice and I'm like, sold. And even like looking at the art style a little bit more, it just kind of, it jumped out really hard for me because we got Ron Perlman voice acting, and it very much looks like Mike Mignola's art style. As far as I've been able to determine, it's not, but it's not like actually him, but it's very much in his style.
Yeah, it's definitely influenced.
And even the gameplay reminds me a little bit of the Hellboy game that they released on the 360. Where it was kind of that like sort of top-down shooter almost, but not quite. It sounds like there is a demo out for this because I did watch a little bit more and I did listen to people actually who had played it, and it does sound pretty challenging for what it is. So I'm kind of excited, and it's coming to the Switch. So
you're fully on board now.
Yeah, I'm 100% on board. Switch release, sign me up.
Yeah. Do you know if it's like a twin stick shooter or something, or?
I don't think it is. Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to
Honestly,
tell.
I
it sort of kind of looks like one, but I don't really know.
My assumptions based on the things that I've heard are that you would control your character movement with the one thumbstick, and then you would control your the direction of your fire. So based on the things that I've seen and heard, my assumption is that you'd control your movement with the one thumbstick and then the direction of your fire with the other, and then actually have some kind of fire button. It wouldn't just be kind of constant stream.
Yeah, definitely something to keep our eye out open for.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. Like I said, since it's Switch, sign me up. What was your next one, JC?
So my next one was the Forgotten City, which is apparently a Skyrim mod that I never heard about. But yeah, it looks actually really cool. So I guess they've kind of taken this mod that people created in the community and are making like an official release for it. It kind of looks a little bit dated, but its gameplay looks really intriguing to me, and I've never heard of this before. So it sounds up my alley, like some sort of like adventure style game with a bunch of puzzles and like a lot of like dialogue and whatnot, and this world setting of ancient Rome, I guess. But yeah, it's something that's coming out, and I might not get it, but I'm definitely going to be looking into it. And I hear it's not too long, so we'll see. But its premise of them living in some sort of like fantasy city and not being able to break any laws and stuff like that, or otherwise they're all doomed, is a really interesting storyline, and trying to figure out, I guess, what to do in that world and everything. Like, I don't really know much about this, but it sounded cool based off of the information in the trailer, and I quickly looked at their website. But yeah, I might actually just download the mod instead of waiting, but give me something to do. But yeah, this game looks really, really cool, so I'm on board for this one for sure.
Yeah, it was kind of neat. I hadn't actually heard of this, and when I was watching through the trailer, I'm like, based on the mod for what?
Yeah.
And then as soon as it got into like what looked like obvious dialogue sections, I'm like, okay, it's for sure a Bethesda game, whether it's like Fallout or Oblivion or Morrowind or one of the Elder Scrolls games. I'm like, it's one of those.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, there's tons of mods and stuff out there, and apparently this is like, it was an award-winning for its writing. So
yeah, for sure. And like it's got like, I find it interesting because the website said that there was like many puzzles to solve and many dialogue options within like an immersive story, and I know it's something that's been released, so I tried. I think it's something I might like either download or actually get, so I didn't want to read too much into it. So I think I am either gonna like get the mod or get this fully released game once it comes out.
Well, those were some of the most interesting things about those games, were the intrigue.
Yeah.
You know, being able to kind of change the course of history just by speaking to the right people and saying the right things.
Yeah.
So having a game that's really based around that, as well as some puzzling, yeah, I don't see why you couldn't be stoked about that.
Yeah, for sure. But the next one is a game that you told me about. I find it interesting how these types of games are kind of sort of being released again. But what's your next one, Ian?
My next one's Skate Story. Yeah, I was super stoked when I saw. Well, at first I was a little weirded out when I saw this because it looks super strange.
Yeah.
But I really like the whole concept of everything I've seen, where you're very much constantly moving forward.
Right.
It doesn't seem to be like, there seems to be boundaries. Like, you can't just kind of drop off the side, and it's not an open world like the Pro Skater games were.
Right.
And again, it's like you said, it's really interesting that these are all kind of coming out now, because we have the I guess a remake of Pro Skater 1 and 2 that's dropping in the fall. So to see Skate Story coming out now as well, that's super exciting. What kind of caught me was when they were showing the controls.
Right.
That was the big thing that got me pumped, because you actually have to move, like shuffle your feet around, and based on your foot position, and use like that actually like is what you use to trick. I keep looking over there. I'm over here. But no, it's
set up.
It's super exciting to actually see something that is a little bit more technically controlled,
right,
as opposed to the arcadey type controls that you have in the Pro Skater games.
Yeah, and really those old Tony Hawk games too, because they were kind of like fairly arcadey. Like, you'd click different buttons.
Oh, they were super arcadey. Like, you would just hit X to ollie. Whereas this, actually, you have to like crouch and then pop up.
Right.
So there's a little bit more to it than just being able to like hit one button and have that happen.
Yeah.
Now you actually have to down and up. So it's a little bit more technical, which I mean, it might intrigue some people. It might turn some people off.
Right.
Because some people are super into the arcadey style. But yeah, that was the one thing that really jumped out to me. Like, I loved the constantly moving forward. I like that it's called Skate Story. Because I feel like there's some kind of story behind the whole skating purpose.
The guy's a skater.
I mean, well, and it's not even like, it's this like crystalline character.
Right.
It's this like this genderless blob.
Right, yeah.
It's really interesting. So and then like you do see, I guess, elements of the world and stuff. I don't know. There's a lot that I'm really excited for. This is very interesting. It is one that I will pick up for sure.
Yeah.
And it probably isn't long. So I will 100% finish that.
Yeah.
Unless the controls are super hard and I'm really bad at video games.
And then you'll play it for 15 minutes.
Then I'll play it and be like, man, it's too technical for me.
Yeah.
But there was another one that was very much up your alley. I think you knew about this before I even messaged you.
I already knew about it. Yeah. And yeah, so that's a Don't Nod game. It is the new
game.
Twin Mirror game. And I think part of this trailer had already been released, to be honest with you, but there was some new footage in it, which is really cool. And this is their next game that they're releasing, and it looks really cool. It's obviously influenced by some of their previous influences, like Twin Peaks and some other things. Like if you played Life is Strange, you could see like the license plates on some of the vehicles are like very specific, like movies and television shows that have a very certain aesthetic, and a lot of the developers and designers like that genre, and this seems really ominous and cool, and I've been looking forward to this game for a while, because they've actually been developing it for a year or two now or something, probably about almost a year, like fully, rather than just concept and design, but it's coming out someday. I don't think this will come out at the actual time they say that it's going to. That's why they put the soon there at the end there. But it's still,
I mean,
I'm
it
super
does say
excited about it.
it says PS4 and Xbox One.
It does, but they're still going to be making PlayStation 4 games for another 6 to 8 months anyway.
Yeah.
They have to, because all the games that are currently being developed, those games will be still released, right? Like we still got 3DS games for quite a while, and that's sort of like we still got Nintendo games in '94. Right, like there's Wario Woods and Yoshi Cookie and Kirby's Adventure, which are like some of the late 93, 94 games, and like the Super Nintendo game. The Super Nintendo had been out like 3 years after. Like that overlap always happens. Is kind of what I'm getting at.
I mean, the only thing I was kind of, I guess, was you're probably not going to see this in like 2022.
Oh yeah, no,
or like late 2021. Like this will probably be like end of this year, maybe beginning of next.
Yeah, that's what I'm expecting. Either winter of this year or fall of next. So yeah, probably. Yeah, latest one summer from now. So,
yeah,
like approximately within the next year, I hope. But yeah, so that's their next game, and I'm super excited and on board, and I can't wait to play the game. So yeah. So what's your next one, Ian?
So. Little Devil Inside. I kind of had no idea what to expect when I watched the trailer.
Right.
And even still watching the trailer, I don't totally know what to expect. It looks like kind of a cutesy action RPG.
Yeah, or at least an action adventure game for sure.
Yeah, and based on what I'd read, this is actually a Kickstarter game from 2015.
Yeah, I remember you mentioned this to me.
Yeah, apparently it's going to have Wii U support.
Nice.
That was one of their stretch goals.
Yeah, Wii U's like the Dreamcast. It's one of those consoles that just won't die.
Yeah, it just keeps going. But yeah, no, I'm super excited to see a little cuter version. I mean, it's not cute. It is cute, but it's not. It reminds me a little bit of...
They're like lo-fi graphics is what they're referred to. Like these types of graphics are very simplistic and kind of to the point, and they tend to have like a chibi style to them, but...
It's not so much the chibi style that kind of like caught me, though. It was the I guess the like Victorian aesthetic. It does give me vibes of Don't Starve.
Yeah, a little bit.
Which was, but that was like a way more lo-fi version, whereas this does look a little bit, a little bit more refined.
Yeah, it's very indie for sure. It's like a lot of indie games kind of use these types of graphics. To,
Oh yeah, for sure. Because it's a little bit easier to develop. It was, but yeah, I'm super excited to be able to, I guess, wrap up into this world. It looks like there's a lot of different environments you'll be able to explore and just adventure in. So I'm really curious to see, because it looks like it might have multiplayer aspects.
Oh, cool.
So, well, most of the like action RPGs do have multiplayer.
A lot of them, yeah.
It's kind of one of their standard features.
And multiplayer if you don't have multiplayer, it turns off a lot of people. So
it does. A lot of people like to play with friends. As much as we all enjoy a solid single player experience, sometimes it's nice to share that experience with a friend.
Yep.
So, yeah, I'm super excited to see this. I'm stoked that it's coming to the PS5. It looks pretty good and clean, but here's hoping. Maybe it comes out on the Switch.
Yeah.
But actually, I was really intrigued by the one that you were looking at next, because that was sort of one of the tent poles of the of Sony's little press thing.
Yeah, and so that one's kind of Bridge of Spirits, and I don't know much about this game, but it looks really cool. It's going to be a new game on the PlayStation 5, I'm assuming near launch, and it looks very intriguing to me. I really like action-adventure games. It looks like something that is right up that alley with maybe a little bit of 3D platforming and stuff like that as well. It probably has a bunch of different genres in there as well, because it's a hybrid game, but it's mainly like an action-adventure game, it looks like. But the main character looks really cool. The lore looks kind of like Asian Pacific Indonesian, and it's just a game that I'm super intrigued to find out more information about, and I hope that I hope it's good. That's really all I have to say about it. But the trailer's super intriguing, so I guess I'll figure out more information as time goes on. But yeah,
it kind of gave me a little bit of like a Princess Mononoke sort of vibe with the little like forest spirits.
Yeah, that's part of the reason I really like Studio Ghibli films, and that's part of the reason why I like it, because like right here on the trailer right here, like you can see like all those things in the background and stuff like that. They're very like forest spirit and stuff like that, and it definitely gave me that vibe for sure.
And it kind of has almost a little bit of like a Pikmin sort of using the little spirits to kind of do stuff. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff going on, and I'm really curious to see how this kind of pulls together.
Yeah.
And turns out, like I said, the little forest spirits, they got me. Like those are going to be, you're going to see those little plush things everywhere.
I'm assuming that they're going to be part of a puzzle mechanic, because these types of games tend to have quite a bit of puzzles, whether they're easy or hard. That's a different story in its target market, but I'm assuming it's going to have some sort of puzzle mechanic, kind of like your Pikmin analogy, because you have to use the Pikmin to solve puzzles, basically.
Yeah, you throw your little plants at stuff and make them figure it out. I think you might kind of control the little tree spirits to make them solve your problems.
Yeah. Yeah, and it looks like it could be very, very fun, but I'm going to keep up with it, so try and figure out more information as that goes on. It's unfortunate because like a lot of the games that we're getting information on, we're really basing it off of the trailer and a little bit of information that's been released, maybe some of the gameplay that has been released as well. Yeah, it's early days in a lot of this, but
it is, but that's okay. I mean, some of these things, like I said, some of them you have no idea. Like you watch the trailer and you're like, I don't know, it looks cool.
Yeah,
it's
flashy.
Yeah, like is it all in engine? Maybe.
Probably not.
Or is this just is it just a trailer cut to make it look pretty for the public? And maybe that's just the case, but it's enough to kind of get you intrigued, and you can kind of, I guess, follow down that
rabbit hole
as far as you want to go. That happened for me last year with Maneater.
Right.
I saw the 2-minute trailer for Maneater, and I'm like, sign me up. I watched every developer interview, every gameplay thing.
Yeah.
I knew as much about Maneater as I could have going into it.
Yeah.
It blew my mind. I'm so excited.
Yep.
And I'm excited for some of these things too.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly this next one.
Yep.
Stray.
This game looks kind of interesting. It's a little different.
Yeah, I was kind of excited to see something where you play as a cat because I do love cats.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of interesting things about this trailer that that kind of grabbed me. Or like right there, the RIP humans, and you don't see a single human throughout this trailer. It is all robots, and that's a story that I hope that they go into.
Yeah, and sort of explain a little bit.
Yeah, I want to know what happened to all these humans, why the robots are going by regular human stuff. Because you see a lot of robots doing typical human things, like a robot barbershop. I don't know. I'm
Confused.
They don't seem to have any hair.
Yeah.
But he's doing something.
Yeah.
But
calibrations. He's doing Garrus calibrations.
Calibrations. At the end of the day, I still want to be able to explore this world as this adorable looking cat.
Yeah, it looks very charming for sure and intriguing.
Yeah, like it has. I love the visuals with all the like fluorescence and neons. It's
Very
kind of
80s retro wave.
Yeah. It's the future that we should have had. And then you finish off with this majestic cat just kind of hanging out with a little meow.
Yeah.
And that's it. Logo is totally on point. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Tells you nothing about the game.
Absolutely nothing.
No. Other than probably playing as a cat.
Yeah.
And there's a world full of
robotic
robots.
humanoids.
Yeah. What's the cat's backpack? I don't know. Is that where his inventory is?
It's probably
Does he carry things?
What's that thing called in Fallout? The
Pip-Boy?
The Pip-Boy. It's
But
probably
how does he access it?
I don't know.
Like,
yeah, probably magic.
I don't know. And what does he like? What do you do? Because I mean, I know my cats sleep probably 16 hours a day.
Well, that you think they do.
I know they do. Is the gameplay mostly sleeping? Like that's.
Well, it's not Cat the Life Simulator.
I guess that's true. Yeah. But no, I'm super excited. I think. Like, we've seen anyone who's scrolled through Facebook has for sure seen, like, this is the game about a cat. It's been talked about for a long time.
Right.
So I'm pretty stoked to see something actually come of it and to be to explore a 3D space as a cat.
Yeah.
Because they have so much maneuverability.
Yeah, there's not very many games where you're usually a humanoid, right? There's not very many games where you're like a four-legged creature. It doesn't happen.
Or just
often.
a creature in general.
Yeah, sometimes you're like a humanoid monster, but I mean, still humanoid. So
exactly. Very rarely do they drift to that. You're a beast, and it is interesting.
Yeah,
I mean, not to throw too much away, but Maneater, one of the best games this year. Maybe Stray will be.
He is definitely talking about that next episode, by the way, so stay tuned.
I will talk about it in every episode, right up until the Game of the Year, when it gets crowned.
Cool.
Anyways, this one should be of no surprise that you were pretty excited about this.
Yeah, no surprise. Just like the Don't Nod game, we have Lawrence Studios' Baldur's Gate 3. And yeah, we got some more footage of the game, and this game's going to be fantastic. And if it's not fantastic, then I will hate this company forever. Anyway, yeah, we know that there's going to be like 13 entry lines or something like that for each of the different characters. They're going to have their own like a beginning part, which sounds similar to like maybe Dragon Age or something, where you can do like the three major races and then the two variants of the starter, and then you can do two different types of elves, two different types of dwarves and stuff like that. I think they're kind of trying to do that with. It sounds like anyway from my perspective that's kind of what they're going to try and do with each of the characters. They each have their own intro, and then it all interlaces into the main story. They keep on releasing more and more information about it. We have no idea when this game is going to come out, but hopefully it's not too late and it doesn't become one of those development hell studio games, which this company knows what they're doing, so I doubt that'll happen. Like, they're not making it look the absolute best graphically. It does look really great, but it's no Far Cry, but that's an old reference for some of you out there. Oh yeah, and then they're giving an early access sometime in 2020 apparently.
Maybe.
But
One of the best endings to a trailer I have ever seen.
Yeah, it was
Early access, August 2020. Maybe.
It was quite comical. And like really, I don't even know if I want to like play the early access because like I remember the Beamdog games. I got early access to both BG2 and Icewind Dale for the beta, and like I just wanted to play the game because like I didn't want to like have all these bugs and all these other things and stuff like that. I just wanted to play it. It was kind of cool to get early a beta access, but I mean it's just wanting me. Usually you can't import those characters into the game anyway, so you have to start over from scratch. And it being a really long RPG, like, do I want to do that?
I did like in the trailer the way they kind of went through all of the different racial options.
Yeah, those are each of the starting characters.
With that back shot, with them like
getting their weapons.
Something.
Yeah,
I thought that was really well done.
Yeah,
so and I was excited to see a tiefling.
Yeah, and apparently you can create your own character as well. I believe they mentioned that in one of the like developer blogs.
Oh, nice.
But they've got all these really cool starting characters as well. I'm assuming you can get the other characters as those will be like the NPCs, so to speak. Because hopefully there's a bunch of NPCs because Baldur's Gates and BioWare games anyway of that era, which this is based off of, the NPCs is kind of like what makes it. Like everybody loves Minsk, everybody loves like a lot of these like NPCs that are in their different games. Like a lot of people like Garrus and Liara and Varys and stuff like that, depending on what game franchise they're playing. And hopefully they have pretty good NPCs in their previous 2 games too. So yeah. Well, we'll see as time goes on, but I'm just sitting here waiting for the game. Just give me the game, damn it. Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe eventually. But anyway, you have one more on your list, and that's Deathloop or something?
Deathloop. Yeah, I was kind of stoked. We actually got a trailer for this last E3,
mm-hmm.
and when I saw that there was another trailer for this, it just got me right fired up again. I loved the aesthetic of the first one, where it has this like really like 60s 70s vibe to it.
Yeah, it has a like 50s/30s like influence that BioShock kind of had as well. Like it seems to have like a similar aesthetic to it.
Kind of, sort of. It to me, I get huge like 60s 70s vibes from this, especially the way they cut the trailer. It very much looks like almost like a Grindhouse movie.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
But what was cool was we actually got a lot of gameplay in this, and you can kind of see the directions that they're going. And it's cool that you mentioned BioShock, because I did get like kind of the BioShock sort of vibe.
Right.
Also a little bit of Dishonored.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of this that really intrigues me, and it kind of gives you an idea as to what to expect, where you've got these other characters that you need to eliminate, while at the same time running from someone who's trying to get you.
Mm-hmm.
So my only hope is that each of the characters that you have to hunt down
mm-hmm.
have a lot of character and personality behind them, because I think that is what is going to make this game
more interesting.
Well, yeah, like that's what will make this game great, is all of the personalities.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah,
unless they have a really interesting gameplay loop, I agree with you, because they're either going to need a really interesting gameplay loop, or they're going to need sort of like really cool storylines behind each of these characters to keep you intrigued. Because I kind of get sort of the deathmatch vibe from this game. I get that's not what this game is, but it seems like that's definitely some inspiration for the game, at least to me. Like along with some of those other influences that you mentioned, but it's just kind of a piece of the pie, so to speak. But yeah.
Well, it's kind of I think in the original trailer, they kind of gave you that idea that
mm-hmm.
once you die, the day begins over again.
Right, kind of like a Groundhog Day thing.
Yeah, and you just keep running through the same loop.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really curious to see what they do, how this works. There's a lot.
Yeah.
This is one game that I'm actually super excited for, and I will pick up. Before hearing anything, I will dive straight into this one.
Cool.
So,
yeah, so those are the main games that we're kind of most interested in from what's been released so far. We'll probably talk a little bit about some of the other stuff that's being released, like some of the EA stuff that's being released.
because they have an event coming up at the end of this week.
Yeah, but we do have, or you have some rapid fire games that you kind of wanted to sort of like shoot through and.
Yeah, because there was a lot. Like we got a lot, and I mean, as I was going through, and we are kind of like, all right, let's pick 5 that we want to talk about.
Yeah, and like to be fair, like some of these trailers, like that we didn't talk about, some of them I was like, I'm kind of interested, but I'm like, I need more info. Like I can't even find any information about this game, so like I don't even know.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. And I mean, there was some things that we saw. Pragmata looks just stunning, like visually. That looks like it's going to be mind-blowing. It kind of looks on par with like a Kojima project.
Yeah.
And even based on what I saw, it also looks like a Kojima product, but it's not. As far as I can tell.
Yeah.
But it looks way out there.
They probably went like, hey, Kojima, does this seem cool to you? It's like, I have new ideas. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, like it looks strange. Returnal looked really interesting. Kind of a similar to Deathloop, where it seems to be constantly replaying the same thing over and over again.
I guess
but with,
Groundhog Day is the theme.
Groundhog Day is the theme, but a evolving sort of world, and it looked like it had some gameplay intermixed, which actually reminded me a lot of Control from last year. So I was definitely intrigued because Control was one of the better games released last year.
Yeah, won quite a bit of awards across the table too.
Yeah, it was very unexpected.
Especially being a AA game, AA/AAA.
True, but it the level of polish on Control was just out there. But we also had Project Athea, and that was the Square Enix. Hey, this is something.
Yeah, I saw this and I watched the trailer and like you mentioned it and I'm like, okay, it's another Square game. Usually with Square games, the way that they kind of market their games, unless it's something that already exists, is sort of like, here's some flashy, cool things, and then you won't know anything for another 6 or 8 months. And I'm like,
well, that's a working title too. By the time this actually gets released, we may have no idea.
Yeah,
like they could even just scrap this. This could just like. Yeah. Get tucked under a rug somewhere and forgotten about.
Yeah.
I mean, the Marvel game that they...
What Marvel game?
Exactly. But we also had Spider-Man, Miles Morales, which we all know I have strong feelings about Spider-Man. I loved the game. I loved everything about it except the
ending.
Like the last boss fight.
Right.
Everything else I loved. And I love... even more that Miles is the hero in this game. Yeah,
there's a lot of different Spider-Men in the Spider-Verse, and it's kind of cool how they're sort of... because you mentioned that he's in the first game.
Yeah, you actually do a few missions as Miles, and they're like stealth missions because Miles doesn't have any powers.
Right.
So it's going to be really interesting to see if this is something where like Peter actually like hands over the mantle to Miles, or if this is a completely different like Spider-Verse.
Well, I don't know much about Spider-Man. I'm not a huge Spider-Man fan. Please don't hate. But like, so for example, Nightwing goes off to like Burnside to like do his own thing in his own city. Does he stay in New York or does he?
Miles still operates out of New York.
Okay. Because like I know some of the like heroes, they kind of they're central in different areas, even though it's like the new Flash or the new whatever, but they're still like in the same time at this. They're still both sort of working.
Yeah, like you said, like Nightwing goes off to Bloodhaven instead of
wrong. Yeah.
Instead of hanging out in Gotham. Even though they're kind of in the same city, but we're not here to talk about DC's writing. No, I'm actually super excited to see Spider-Man. That's pretty amazing. I wasn't sure if that would get a sequel, but
You weren't sure there was going to be a sequel?
Oh, okay.
Oh, come on.
Well, but the thing is, it's not that
They
I
bought
didn't,
a studio for the
it's
game.
not that I
There's going to
didn't
be
think
a
you would
sequel.
get a sequel. It's that I expected the sequel to just be another
Kind of like the
Peter
Batman
Parker Spider-Man
Arkham games. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Because the Batman,
yeah.
listen, the Batman games, if it switched gears to Nightwing, like if you
I would've
move
been
on,
happy.
right? But that would be an amazing switch. So this is really cool to actually see Miles Morales as the lead character.
Mm-hmm.
That's real cool. I mean, we did have Enter the Spider-Verse 2 years ago, and that movie was amazing.
Oh, okay, the movie. Okay.
So,
I
I mean,
what are you talking about again? Okay, no, I know what you're talking about.
I'm pumped. I'm pumped to see this actually happen. But on top of that, we had Metal Hellsinger, which looks to be a mashup of like Doom and Guitar Hero, like first-person shooter where you
This looks so weird to me.
murder to the beat.
Yeah. Rhythm
shooter. Well, we had Crypt of the Necrodancer, and there was 2 versions of that because they had Cadence of Hyrule as well, which is a rhythm Zelda game.
Yeah.
And both of those were really well done. If you're into that, I really liked them because I love the music behind it, and I loved the gameplay of actually like keeping on
with
rhythm.
The beat, yeah.
That was a lot of fun. So I'm really curious to see this one and get my hands on it. I don't think it's necessarily going to be a AAA title, but
no, it'll be probably like a game that is sort of one of those hidden wonders where it's got its cult following.
Yeah. And then I just wanted to close it off because they actually had another cat-based game.
Right.
Gory, Cuddly Carnage. Now that's Gory with an I. And it's a skateboarding cat game.
I don't get it.
You use the skateboard to create some cuddly carnage against some other sort of cutesy demon animals.
Dogs, maybe?
No, there was like zebras.
Oh, okay.
It was, yeah. Look up the trailer. Watch the trailer. I'm not going to show it, but just check it out.
Right.
I was like, another cat game, and it's got skateboarding.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
Sign me up
for $20.
For $20
on the Switch.
On the Switch for $20. Otherwise, no. You do not have Ian support.
Otherwise, no, maybe just don't put it on. Don't put it on the Epic Store.
Yeah. Cool. Well, those are our games that we are kind of excited about and interested to get more information on.
I mean, like JC obviously said, there's a ton more, and we probably could have talked about most of them.
Right.
But yeah, these were just kind of the ones that we were like, you know what? Especially some of them, I think, are things that people might have missed and might not even necessarily talk about.
Yeah.
So it was kind of cool to be able to say, hey, go check these things out. Oh, and System Shock, the System Shock remake.
Yeah, it's been coming out forever, though.
I know, but they got a really good trailer for it. Check out the trailer. Because that is a piece of gaming history right there.
It is.
You wouldn't have BioShock without that.
Yeah, you wouldn't have a lot of games
You
without
wouldn't have a lot of games without it.
And
all the Deus Ex
I just hope that it actually comes out.
There. But anyways, that's the stuff that we were pretty stoked about. Did you guys check them out? What were you excited about? Let us know down in the comments below.
Yeah. And
good to see you all again.
Good to see you all again. We're trying to be more consistent, sorry guys. But yeah, we'll see you in the next episode.